With the rise of the so-called BRICS nations, there is a growing concern among U.S. policymakers that the United States might be in danger of losing its status as a global superpower. In this video, I will discuss this crucial matter and more to help you gain a better understanding of this developing situation. Welcome to Simply Economics. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon to be notified whenever a new amazing video is posted. This video shall tackle an important topic that has been gaining traction lately: the potential for increased competition brought about by the increasing trade ties among the BRICS countries. Are these emerging economies a real threat to the U.S. economy? Let's find out. What is BRICS? Initially, the acronym BRICS referred to the world's fastest-growing economies, with a positive connotation. However, the BRICS countries, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, are currently positioning themselves as an alternative to established international financial and political organizations. According to 𝐦𝐤𝐤𝐤, Deputy Director of the German Institute for International and Security Affairs, or SWP, the founding myth of emerging economies has lost its significance, while the BRICS countries are currently experiencing their geopolitical moment. The BRICS countries are attempting to portray themselves as the representatives of the Global South, offering an alternative approach to the G7. The G7 is a group of leaders from the most developed economies that was formed in 1975 and includes members such as Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, the United Kingdom, the United States, and the European Union. How was BRICS formed? In 2001, Jim O'Neill, who was then the chief economist of Goldman Sachs, coined the term BRIC to refer to the four countries that showed high economic growth rates. The countries were Brazil, Russia, India, and China. However, some people didn't like the term and thought that the countries were too different to be clumped together. They also accused Goldman Sachs of using the term as a marketing gimmick. The initial marketing ploy to attract investors has now transformed into a platform for intergovernmental cooperation known as BRICS, similar to the G7. The first summit of the four nations was held in Russia's Yekaterinburg in 2009. Later, in 2010, South Africa joined the group, leading to the addition of the letter S to BRICS. Knowing each member country, the five members of the BRICS are quite diverse in terms of their geography, population size, and economy. Here's a brief overview of each country. Brazil is the largest country by area and population in South America, with over 216 million people. The country has an emerging market economy and a vast natural resource base. Russia is the world's largest country by area, spanning over 6 million square miles. It is the second most populous nation in Europe, with 145 million people, and has an economy heavily dependent on oil and natural gas production. India is the world's second most populous country, with 1.4 billion people, and has a large service sector that makes up about 60% of its gross domestic product, or GDP. China is the world's most populous country, with 1.45 billion people, and has the world's second largest economy. It has a managed economy dominated by state-owned enterprises. Lastly, South Africa is the smallest of the five countries with over 61 million people. It has an emerging market economy and is one of the top-performing economies in Africa. What are the benefits of joining BRICS? The main benefit for countries joining BRICS is that it allows them to gain more recognition on the global stage. Countries like India and Brazil can lean on the economic support of China and Russia while also having a platform to share their own perspectives with other nations. BRICS also provides an opportunity for its member nations to create investment opportunities in each other's countries. For example, China has invested heavily in India's infrastructure and energy sectors. This helps both economies grow and generates jobs. Is BRICS planning to create a new currency? The BRICS nations are considering the establishment of a new currency for multiple reasons. The global financial challenges and the U.S. foreign policies have led them to explore this possibility. By doing so, they aim to boost their economic interests while decreasing the world's reliance on the U.S. dollar and the euro. At the 14th BRICS summit in mid-2022, Russian President Vladimir Putin announced that the BRICS countries are planning to introduce a new global reserve currency and are willing to collaborate transparently with all fair partners. Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva suggested the idea of a BRICS currency in order to support trade relations between Brazil and other BRICS countries. He questioned the role of the dollar as a standard currency for international trade after the end of gold parity. The response from countries outside of the BRICS group has been varied. For instance, countries such as Turkey, Egypt, and Saudi Arabia are contemplating joining the BRICS, with Saudi Arabia purchasing Russian oil in unprecedented amounts. Nevertheless, certain specialists argue that the notion of a BRICS currency is flawed because the countries have vastly different economies. Some people worry that non-Chinese members could become too reliant on China's currency, the yuan. What would the advantages of a BRICS currency be? Introducing a new currency to the BRICS countries may lead to advantages such as faster cross-border transactions and improved financial inclusion. By utilizing blockchain technology, digital currencies, and smart contracts, the currency could transform the global financial system. Furthermore, facilitating cross-border payments through this initiative could contribute to improving trade and economic integration not only within the BRICS nations but also beyond. In addition to the benefits mentioned, creating a new BRICS currency would promote economic integration among BRICS countries, decrease the impact of the U.S. in the international arena, diminish the superiority of the U.S. dollar as a global reserve currency, prompt other countries to form coalitions to develop their own regional currencies, and reduce potential risks associated with global instability caused by unilateral measures and over-reliance on the U.S. dollar. Is a BRICS currency possible? Financial experts suggest that the creation of the euro in 1999 serves as evidence that a new currency for BRICS could be feasible. However, accomplishing this would necessitate significant groundwork over a number of years, including creating a new central bank and an agreement among the 5 countries to gradually abandon their own currencies. Additionally, for the new currency to be successful on a global scale, the support of the International Monetary Fund would likely be necessary. The ongoing war in Ukraine will further weaken Russia's economy and cause the ruble to lose value. Meanwhile, China is working to increase the international power of the yuan. Additionally, there is a significant economic gap between China and other BRICS countries, which presents major challenges. How would a new BRICS currency affect the U.S. dollar? The U.S. dollar has been the world's leading reserve currency for many years. It is used in over 74% of all international trade, 90% of currency exchanges, almost all oil trades, and just under 60% of foreign currency reserves held by central banks. Most central banks around the world hold dollars because it is commonly used for conversion and is a benchmark in the forex market. While the euro and yuan have become more popular, the dollar remains the top reserve currency, followed by the euro, yen, pound, and yuan. Experts are uncertain about how a new BRICS currency would affect the dominance of the U.S. dollar. However, if the new currency were to stabilize against the dollar, it could weaken the effectiveness of U.S. sanctions and cause a decline in the dollar's value. This could lead to an economic crisis that would impact American households. Could this new currency accelerate the de-dollarization trend? The trend towards de-dollarization may receive a boost from this new currency as nations worldwide look for options beyond the U.S. dollar. For instance, China and Russia already trade using their own currencies, while India, Kenya, and Malaysia either advocate for de-dollarization or sign agreements with other nations to conduct trade using local currencies or alternative benchmarks. It is uncertain if the creation of a new BRICS currency would encourage the development of other alternatives to the U.S. dollar. However, there is a chance that the U.S. dollar's position as a reserve currency could be challenged as more countries diversify their reserves. This could result in emerging currencies competing with the U.S. dollar, potentially impacting the balance of power in global markets. The effect of a new BRICS currency on the U.S. dollar will depend on whether it is accepted widely, considered to be stable, and if it can provide a realistic substitute to the dominance of the U.S. dollar. BRICS is set to expand. According to South African Foreign Minister Naledi Pandor, there is significant global interest in the BRICS group. She mentioned receiving 12 letters from interested countries in early March during a television interview. She mentioned that Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Egypt, Algeria, Argentina, Mexico, and Nigeria are among these countries. BRICS challenged the World Bank model. The BRICS nations launched the New Development Bank in 2014 with an initial funding of $50 billion. This was done as an alternative to the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund. They also established a liquidity mechanism called the Contingent Reserve Arrangement to provide support to members facing payment difficulties. Many developing and emerging economies that had negative experiences with the IMF's structural adjustment programs and austerity measures found the offers made by the BRICS nations appealing. As a result, these countries expressed their willingness to become a part of the BRICS group. Is BRICS ready to take over the world? Since its formation, the BRICS group has experienced economic developments that differ from its original expectations. China is the only member state that has consistently shown significant growth, while the other 4 have not. While China's gross domestic product increased from $6 trillion in 2010 to almost $18 trillion in 2021, the economies of Brazil, South Africa, and Russia remained stagnant. India also experienced some growth in its GDP, which increased from $1.7 trillion to $3.1 trillion, but it was not as significant as China's growth. European and U.S. policymakers are also concerned that the BRICS, a group of growing powers that seek to impact global growth and development, may shift from an economic club to a more politically oriented one due to their authoritarian nationalism. It is too early to tell if BRICS would be a possible threat to the U.S. and its economy, as the BRICS nations still need to work on many areas. However, it is clear that the BRICS countries have come a long way since their first summit in 2009 and continue to strive for economic cooperation and progress. While the feasibility of a BRICS currency remains to be seen, it is evident that these countries continue to shape the global economy. Make sure to subscribe to Simply Economics and comment down your thoughts on the BRICS nations and their chances of creating a new currency. Thank you for watching.